What's up, everybody? It is time for our final week of the SEC preview. I know we had week 0 kickoff on Saturday with a handful of games. Man, I had a tough week with the picks. Went 0-3 to start off week 0, so I guess it was week 0 for me. And a little bit of a slump, but I stick to it no matter what anybody says. You always have those lulls when it comes to what I do when it comes to making picks and premium picks. But we've had a little bit of issue last week. Bobby had to reschedule. So we're doing a show today. This is our last college football preview. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do a live show where we have 2 special guests. And we'll be talking about wrapping up the rosters for the NFL offseason, wrapping everything up, getting ready for your NFL season to get started. Because all we do is talk about football on this channel. And speaking of bringing in my co-host with the most, ladies and gentlemen, from the great state of Mississippi, Bobby, what is going on in your neck of the woods, sir?
Man, I've just been busy. I was super excited. Man, how about that Missouri UNLV game, right? What a banger of a game, right? Jackson Arnold actually looked like a competent quarterback compared to what he was doing last year in the SEC. So, yeah,
it's Memphis, not Missouri. It was Memphis.
That's what I meant. Memphis versus UNLV. Yes. And also, fun fact, never seen a penalty on a coach before, but Memphis's coach got unsportsmanlike conduct off on the sideline. I've never seen that before. At least I don't ever remember seeing it.
Sometimes it's how officials are just going to take charge of a game when somebody's acting stupid or anything along those sorts. You got to take measures. Even if it costs you 15 yards, you got to be able to be in charge mentally when it comes to sports, especially if you're the coach, because your team is a reflection of you as a coach. And if you're not in control, then eventually they're going to be out of control. But right now we have 5 viewers, so I thank you guys for tuning in.
I'll
give you guys a round of applause, but I'm going to do something a little bit differently. Normally I wait till we've gone through our first 2 teams before I've done an ad, but I'm going to do a quick ad because this is my show, this is my channel, and I'll do whatever the heck I want to do. And with that being said, I'm going to head and give you guys our first trailer of the night when it comes to sports and picking winners. That's what I do. I know I've been in a lull. My free bets have just been atrocious, but there's no perfection in this game, and any real sports bettor will tell you that. They won't, I give full transparency. I know I'm going to be back in my game this week. And we got week 1 coming up, some major matchups in college football already in week 1, especially Clemson and LSU with the nightcap. But we're going to talk about the NFL first, so take a quick preview. That's right, Justin Paul Sports. It's me. There's nobody else that helps with that stuff. Bobby does help with the videos, but as far as the picks, respectfully, Bobby doesn't do all that stuff. He's your fantasy guru, and he's got some exciting news. Bobby, you want to go ahead and tell him what you got going on for everybody?
Yeah. Go ahead and put my my stuff on the screen. Look, I've been working mercilessly on this. Any of you guys that are watching from my channel or just interested in fantasy football / dynasty fantasy football, finally got my website up and running. Super proud of it. Bobby'sBigBoard.com if you want to come check it out. I'm just going to go through it real quick. Nothing too crazy here. You've got all of your news, anything that you want to see news-wise, you can kind of come in here and take a look at it. It's going to be updated every single day, so it's all live rankings. And then if you want to check out a specific player, like we'll say a guy that the Green Bay Packers just traded, Kyle McCord, you'll see my prospect grade on him, top qualities, kind of what I thought about him coming out of Syracuse. You can see his current dynasty value. You can see how he's moving. And then you can see a little graph here based on how I like him, how much he's been moving up for me in the past 2 days. So, and then you can see obviously what's going on. So obviously they traded for him. The Dolphins did. So he's in a great place. But you can see my overall dynasty rankings. You can sort it by college. You can sort it by year, age. It doesn't matter if you want to check out Baylor. There's no Baylor players that are good right now. Updates. You can compare players. You can look at the biggest movers over the past few weeks. prospect grades. If you want to look at how I graded prospects throughout the years, you can see that. You can check all the draft classes that I've had. It goes all the way back to 2024. And last but not least, we have a trade calculator, guys. All math done by me. You can basically have a trade calculator based on my rankings. But yeah, if you guys want to check it out, it's completely free to use. You can go to bobbysbigboard.com and get you some good dynasty rankings.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Bobby works really hard on his stuff. Go check out his channel. He does all these edits. He does everything for this channel for no charge because he's so gracious with his time and his patience. I'm so grateful for it. And he does amazing stuff. And we got an announcement next week. Actually, we're doing a show not next week, but in 2 days, we're doing a show. Like I said, Wednesday, we're going to have 2 special guests. One of them, the fantasy football strategist. He will be joining us. And a special guest for the first time, a little adversarial opposition here coming to some ops. The ops. See, I'm cool. I'm hip. I know what the ops are. I had to learn that I had to Paul Wall my hat before the show. I didn't even know what that was.
I was going to bring that up. I brought up Paul Wall, and he was like, I don't know who that is. That's your era, though.
Well, is it a hip hop reference?
He's early 2000s hip hop. White guy.
I listen to music that'll conjure Satan and old country music, so it's just not going to be. Respectfully, it's just I won't get all the references all the time. The only hip hop I really know is, really old stuff like the West Coast, and even that's not necessarily my cup of tea. But I know I have enough cultural wherewithal to understand what's going on. But speaking of odd fellows, why don't we start with our preview here?
Yeah, go ahead, my friend.
And is our first team going to be Missouri? Because
it absolutely is going to be Missouri.
So we got our fun little coach there, Eli Drinkwitz. He reminds me of with his personality. Like, he does all this weird, he has a very unique personality that's very perfect for him at Missouri because Missouri is the SEC team that doesn't belong in the SEC. They're a southern state, but they're not a southern state. They border Illinois, but so does Kentucky. So we're going to, it's just you're kind of on the influx of the South. There's no mountains in Missouri, but you got the Ozarks. So they've really got a conundrum of their entire existence. Fun fact about Missouri. So, oh man, I got to be very careful what I say here. So Barstool Sports did a thing where they were showing pictures of maps, and like they will have that one guy on there, he ain't got any hair, and everybody's asking, what country is this and what this and that is. And he had Missouri. He just had a photo of Missouri, and it was just an outline. And he was asking people at Barstool, and 80% of them didn't know. So I was like, this has to be a bit. It's got to be. And then I asked a bunch of people that I know in real life. Man, we have got a problem, folks. Like,
you'd be surprised, man.
I was very surprised that people that didn't know the shapes of states exist in a realm like that and not knowing. It's just a bit surprising, especially people I know that are smarter than me, a few that are college graduates, but they went to a Big Ten and a MAC school. So that kind of says that, it doesn't mean more for geographical locations. But let's talk about Missouri. What do we got to talk about? Let's talk about here. You go ahead.
Yeah, so with the Missouri Tigers, they were an interesting team last year because they went 8-5, which is a decent record. Obviously, a winning record in the SEC is not bad, but they went 4-4 in the SEC. They did get beat up a little bit, and then they lost in the Gator Bowl to Virginia, which Bo Perbula, their quarterback, ended up going to Virginia, which we just saw him play in week 0. He's got some legs on him. But for the offense, I mean, they were pretty good offense, 30 points per game. That was 44th in terms of scoring defense. They were 32nd in terms of total offense. So pretty good stuff there. And then defensively, they were a great defense, 17th in terms of scoring, 8th in total defense. So they were pretty solid in terms of scoring offense and defense, but they just couldn't bring in those games at the end of the games. So, yeah, I mean, for them, it's just they left a lot on the table, I think. And with Missouri, I think that there's a lot to be desired here.
There is a lot of tradition, not ironically, but there is a lot of tradition at some of these schools like Mizzou that they've had a history of being good, but they've never been a blue blood program. And when you look at those statistics, I mean, they're in the top half on everything: scoring, offense, total offense, the defense. total defensively. You're a top 10 overall in college football defensively. You should be doing way better than making the Gator Bowl. Um, I think that the measuring stick last year, and this isn't, bias, this really isn't, but was when they hosted Alabama and couldn't pull that game off. I feel like the wind got taken out of their sails there. I mean, Ahmad Hardy didn't really exactly have an elite game that game. Missouri was physically beaten up in that game, and they looked pedestrian. My take on, Ahmad Hardy is a fantastic running back, one of the best in the SEC. But, we're talking about Missouri. They've got another ranked caliber style roster here. They've got depth. They've got experience in the portal, some of the players that they picked up. But we're going to see what they got at quarterback. I mean, Austin Simmons, the Ole Miss transfer, has made his way over to Missouri. They got competition with Matt Zollers and Nick Evers. But they've got to have some efficiency at that position to see if they're able to get anything going on there. And then they are rebuilding the receiving room. They got Caden Lee, Caleb Goody Jr., Senior, Caleb Goody Senior, Donovan Oligbode, and Demarion Fulks. So there's some experience and upside, but we got to figure out how it's going to be working with a whole new quarterback, whole new system, not whole new system, but just, when you're refreshing your roster all the time, that's going to be kind of what's going to be the tell of Missouri. Plus their schedule's back end loaded. So
absolutely.
We're going to take a look at that here in just a moment. What's your take on how you think Missouri is going to play out this upcoming season?
Well, the big issue with Missouri right now is that Ahmad Hardy's probably going to be set to miss the first few weeks of the season, if not more. But they run through this guy. I mean, look at this. He's a absolute monster. You can see that here as well. Also, Bo Perbula, he did end up getting hurt, but he used his legs as well. Austin Simmons is kind of mobile, kind of not. So they're going to be lacking in terms of that department. But then, obviously you've got more quarterback runs, right? That's something that they kind of relied on with Bo Perbula. Then you have obviously Ahmad Hardy. I mean, he's just ridiculous, right? Look, tried to tell you guys last year, if y'all are doing Devy, y'all should have picked up Ahmad Hardy. And then obviously the read option here. I picked these plays for a specific reason because I don't think Austin Simmons is that type of quarterback, and I think that they're going to be missing him big time, at least Bo Perbula in terms of the rushing department. But we can go ahead and look at the offensive outlook here, right? Austin Simmons is coming in. He basically got benched for a D2 guy in Trinidad Chambliss. Austin Simmons, he got hurt. He was playing really poorly. They ended up putting in Trinidad. Trinidad took the job and ran with it. Now, Caden Lee's also coming in, another Ole Miss transfer. Simmons and Caden Lee already have a little bit of chemistry, so that's solid there. Caleb Goody from Cincinnati, he's going to be the field stretcher. And then Deshaun Edwards at Houston Christian. We'll see.
But when it comes to Austin Simmons, it's kind of interesting. Like you said, he was playing poorly, and maybe sometimes it just needs to be a change of environment. I mean, Ole Miss turned into a train wreck after the season. It looks like they made the right call because Ole Miss did make a run in the playoff and should have won the Miami game. I mean, they did beat Georgia on a neutral site. They knocked Kirby Smart out of the playoffs, but the whole Kiffin fiasco, which LSU is just, they can't get out of their own way. It's going to be, look, I got 2 hate watches now. The first one is in the NFL, and we all know who that's going to be this year. The Chicago Bears. But now,
it's the same every year.
But now it's LSU because it's not even so much that I hate LSU as a Bama fan as much as it's Lane Kiffin's just such a fiasco. And
it's obnoxious.
And ever since he's been hired there, it's just been nonsense. They had to tell him to get off Twitter. He did the commercial where he's got chicks or where he's like, this dude is just, it's going to be like, you're watching a car crash and you're not looking forward to seeing the carnage, but you low key kind of are going to enjoy it. So that's the hate watch. I don't even have the hate watch for Auburn this year because I actually respect Alex Golson. I like Lane Kiffin because he is a comedian. Lord have mercy. They're trying to bring in NFL players. LSU is just a mess, but I think that with Austin Simmons, I got off track there. Austin Simmons might do something better. This might be a better scheme for him. And we're going to see, though, like you said, he's not a great runner, but he's got weapons here. It's not like Missouri's got exactly a lay-down roster.
Yeah. And I mean, the biggest issue with Missouri is it's been 3 years now. They have three different starting quarterbacks. They just need to figure out the quarterback position. And I don't think Austin Simmons is that answer. He was legitimately bad last year for Ole Miss. I think he had more interceptions than he did touchdowns through the first couple weeks. Now, Ahmad Hardy returning is a big deal. I think he'll probably be out for the first couple of weeks. We'll see how quickly they rush him with Zayshawn and Jamal Roberts, who also had a pretty standout year as the two behind Hardy. Donovan Olungbode, he's we'll see how he does this year. Norfleet, the starting tight end, he's coming in, and then Caden Green, who we haven't talked about. This offensive line, at least in terms of run blocking, really good. But the key departures here, Bo Pabula, he leaves to go to Virginia. I guess I don't know how that ended up working. Kevin Coleman Jr. ended up being a pick for the Miami Dolphins. Also had Theo Weiss, who was a Missouri Tiger last year, in 2024 rather, and he ended up going as well. So they do have a few guys that left and went to the NFL draft. So I think that they could replace the quarterback position, but I just don't think it's Simmons. I think that they're going to have to recruit really good and grab that quarterback again because – I mean, you have a question at wide receiver. Caden Lee, he didn't have the year I was thinking he was going to have at Ole Miss, and you're losing Kevin Coleman, who was a really good standout wide receiver for them. So, yeah, overall, man, I think this offense is still missing a couple pieces, but I still think that they can do about what they did last year if Austin Simmons can actually figure his stuff out. But we can go ahead and get into the schedule here. Like you said, it's definitely back end heavy for sure. They start at home versus Arkansas Pine Bluff. Then they go to Kansas, which is not a gimme game whatsoever. I think Kansas is they got a stud quarterback and they've got a good team. Troy, I think, is a win. Mississippi State in Starkville. We'll see how they start the year. They might have some steam. This could be an Arizona State rehash. They had a ton of momentum. Arizona State came there, underestimated them a little bit, and they ended up losing their ranking because of that. So Mississippi State, they can bite back. I don't know if Missouri is going to be able to handle them. I think they can. Then you got Florida, Texas A&M, both at home, Ole Miss in Oxford, and then the last bits of this, Arkansas on the road is probably a gimme. Texas at home, probably a loss. Georgia in Athens, tough. Kentucky, then Oklahoma, who's got a great defense. So, I mean, for the most part, you play a lot of good defenses. You're playing Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, A&M. That you're playing a lot of good defenses here in the SEC. And I don't know if Austin Simmons is going to be able to hang with it. I'm giving probably 7 wins for this team. I think this might be a little bit of a fall from grace from last year just because I don't believe in the quarterback room right now.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the key. I think this is an 8-win football team. The best game on here is, ironically, the Kansas game because there is a deep-rooted hate with those two schools, and I absolutely love it. As a third party who just witnesses really nasty rivalries, I can appreciate it. And I've pounded the drum over and over about Michigan, Ohio State, and how I think that's the most bloated rivalry game that there is. If you don't live in those states, nobody gives a crap. It's like 10th on my rivalry list. I don't care if that's blaspheme. I don't care what anybody says. There's hate like Missouri, Kansas. There was hate, like Alabama, Auburn. There's hate between Georgia and Florida. Like there's real hate there. There's hate between Alabama and Tennessee. There's hate in the Egg Bowl. The Egg Bowl is incredible. Incredible. It's can't miss television. Thanksgiving night. Unless the Packers are on, I'm going to watch the Egg Bowl over the NFL matchup because it's absolutely fantastic. And
I go every year. Every year I'm in the stadium.
Yep. Again, it's just like the Egg Bowl is fantastic. Any kind of rivalry, because Missouri and Kansas should play every single year. And there's another rivalry on a team that we talked about, Arkansas. Last year was the first time that Arkansas played Arkansas State in ages. They need to do a week 0 opening sequence every year with those two in school. It'll help recruiting for both schools. We can find out and get a measuring stick for the SEC in a sense, how they're going to recruit or not. But Missouri looks like I think they're going to be an 8-win football team. I could see 8 wins here, maybe 9, but it all, like you said, is contingent on quarterback play. Ahmad Hardy comes back and how they handle that backhand of the schedule. If they can beat, you know, Texas at home, Texas doesn't play great on the road. A lot of these SEC juggernauts don't play well on the road like they normally should, but we'll see. We'll see how Missouri does.
Yeah.
Eight wins, I think.
So we'll go ahead and get into the spotlight player here. And look, guys, it's the same as last year. Nobody had Ahmad Hardy on their radar last year when he transferred from Louisiana Monroe. And I was like, this kid is ridiculous. What does he go out and do as a true sophomore? Almost 1,700 rushing yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, almost 6.5 yards per carry, 126 yards per game in the SEC, mind you. This kid went crazy. If there wasn't a guy named Cam Cook at Jacksonville State, he would have led the entire nation in rushing. Consensus All-American, he led the nation with 1,186 yards after contact. We'll see that in his film, don't worry. He missed almost 100 tackles. That's second in the country. You see these numbers in Conference USA schools and stuff like that, not in the SEC where you're playing SEC defenses. Elite vision, power. He's got the breakaway speed as well, and he's a nightmare to tackle. He's going to be the centerpiece of this offense. I think he's got an off-season leg injury right now, so he's probably going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. But if he stays even remotely as good as he did last year, this team, this guy is going to be a first-round pick, at the very least a mid-second. So this is a guy that I'm truly excited about, and you're going to see some of the film right here. I mean, he's just jaw-droppingly good here. Look at this. Breakaway speed. What is that?
That's the replacement. That's the replacement for Josh Jacobs, folks, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. But that should be the guy that they go snag. Just saying.
And, with running back value, let's say you guys win 9-10 games this year, he's absolutely gettable. I mean, because the running back, I'll go ahead and play this route. Look at this. Look at this.
Yes.
Look at that.
What is quitting. This? That's called make your ass quit football. That's really like Arkansas had everybody on him, and they just thought he was going to go down, and he just
that's a big run stuffing nose tackle.
Who is that? 58, whatever. Yeah, whatever it was. Look at that. He's on his knees, they're not gang tackling. They're quitting on the play. You got to put people on the ground when you play football, man. It's a man's game, and he wanted it more, and that's elite football right there.
Yeah, runs into the back of his offensive lineman, and then look at this. And that's another thing that I love about him. He's a little bit more elusive than people give him credit for. That hezzy step made the corner just question himself just a little bit. This dude's a monster. As long as his leg injury isn't significant and it doesn't mess with him, like the Kenyon Drake. I loved Kenyon Drake out of Alabama. Loved him. And then he got hurt, man. He was just never really the same. He still had a decent NFL career once he went, but he was just never the same after that injury at Alabama. Ahmad Hardy, as long as he can stay healthy, I mean, he has a ton of workload. To have the workload that he did and still put up that yards per carry number is ridiculous. And I cannot wait to see him play this year. I am so excited.
Yeah, great player.
Fantastic. One of the best running backs in the nation for me. But we'll go ahead and get into the next team here. Oklahoma. Alabama and Oklahoma had a little bit of a thing going on last year.
Where's Oklahoma? Oh God, it's a series. Oh God, my God.
Yeah, Oklahoma ends up getting bounced out of the first round of the playoffs by Alabama 34-24. They went 10-3. 6-2 in the SEC. Brett Venables had a pretty successful season, and not because of that offense, man. They had a banged up quarterback, huh?
They gave him a nice extension, last week or whatever it was. So he's going to be sticking around. Curious that I thought they were going to, play it out and see, but there must be something going on with him that they like him enough, especially the defense. If you can win with, very pedestrian quarterback, in my opinion. I'm not the biggest John Mateer guy, but we're going to see how he does this year. But we'll see. I got my take. Go ahead and read the stats here before I give you my take on Oklahoma.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad that you mentioned that. John Mateer, I've got quarterbacks here. I mean, I had Caleb Williams ranked as an 85. I love Caleb Williams,
You
but
sure
I
do.
gave John Mateer. I got him all the way down to a 67 and a half, and my pro comp for him was Taylor Heineke. Uh, and I know we're not talking about Oregon, but Dante Moore I even had underneath that, and I comped him to Zach Wilson. I am
Ooh.
not a believer in Mateer or Dante Moore. I would avoid Dante Moore at all costs unless he turns into a completely different player this year. But I'll go into the offense and defense real quick. Offensively, John Mateer was pretty banged up. He had a hand injury and some other injuries. He looked like a Heisman level candidate at early on in the season, and then he just kind of fell off a cliff after that. So 79th ranked scoring offense, 92nd in total offense. Not great. Defensively, this is where this team shined. Top 7 in scoring defense, top 6 in total defense. This guy, they allowed only 15 and a half points per game. Like, that's insane. That's really good numbers there. Oklahoma, I think they just need to improve. We'll talk about what they brought in a little bit, but they just got to improve that offense and grab and just keep that defense even remotely close to what it was last year.
Well, that defense, they've got David Stone, they've got Taylor Ween, Kip Lewis, Peyton Bowen, Eli Bowen. So there's strength everywhere when it comes to Oklahoma's defense. It's the foundation of their football program right now. Defensive minded coach, remember Brent Venables was the DC in Clemson for those championship teams with Dabo Swinney, gave Alabama fits. That's his strength. But like we talked about with John Mateer, right? He's a dual threat quarterback, but he needs to be a little more steady with the football, a little more accurate, and make better decisions. Plus, he had that hand injury last year, and I think that might have affected his game down the stretch. I mean, I think he heard it was he either came back for the Texas game for Red River or got injured in Red River. But nonetheless, we're going to have to see how Oklahoma adjusts offensively because it's not sustainable. They do have players in Isaiah Satanga the third, Trill Harris, Parker Livingston, and they've got some downfield threats going on there, and they don't really necessarily need to rely on a single target like they kind of had to last year. But their running game isn't exactly what I would call elite. The Xavier Robinson, Torrey Blaylock, Lloyd Avant. I mean, as MJF likes to say, mid. And I'm not sorry, Sooners. It's just kind of what you are offensively. It's not much of improvement or transfers or recruiting says that you're going to be making things better. Everything's going to run through John Mateer. I don't know if I trust it. The schedule for Oklahoma is a bit rough. I think this might be a step back from last year. I don't think this is a playoff team this year. I think this is a 7 or 8 win football team, considering how difficult the schedule is.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about that schedule in a little bit. But let's go ahead and look at what Oklahoma does. So you're going to have John Mateer. They like to throw this. Look, I know it's successful for a lot of teams, not very successful for Oklahoma. I mean, they just did not execute this very well. And Mateer was all over the place.
This is Wyoming football on defense. This is just so you guys know that's who the highlights are against.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I just hate he sidearms for no reason most of the time. And, here you are here, another one. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of like I don't really know.
That was John Mateer?
Yeah.
At Washington State?
Yeah, that's what he does. I don't really have a lot of film on, at least at Oklahoma, but that's exactly what they ran at Oklahoma as well. Just him throwing screens, not screens, but like the bubble screens, just the quick ins and outs. He just can't really throw downfield very well. And when he does, it's into double coverage. He's not making good decisions. He's running for his life, throwing a crossbody. He's just kind of all over the place. We'll see how he does this year. But here we go in terms of the offensive outlook. I mean, you got Trill Harris from Virginia, Parker Livingstone from Texas. I mean, he could be a big play field stretcher for them. Lloyd Avant from Colorado State and Rocky Beers. I liked both of those guys at Colorado State. We'll see how they do.
What a name. If a name doesn't scream Southern football like Brian Bosworth, it's Rocky Beers at tight end. Let's give him a little tight end screen on just hitting him in the middle there.
Oh
Yeah,
man, if you could see him right now,
it's just what a name though.
you
Colorado
should
State. Funny,
six
like
foot.
because Colorado, Deion Sanders got himself a tiny football team out there this year.
Yeah.
He got some. He got some elementary school sized people going out there. That program's going to go back into disarray. He'll probably be run out of town at the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, I will say they are returning some guys that I like. I mean, John Mateer's not my favorite. We'll see how he does if he calms down and becomes an actual quarterback. Isaiah Satanga the third, liked him a lot. Troy Blaylock, he didn't really do too much. Xavier Robinson, they kind of had this two-headed monster going, if you want to call it a monster. Deion Burks leaves for the NFL draft. He was pretty solid. Jaron Kanak, I don't know. I mean, their offense hasn't really improved that much. We'll see how the wide receivers come in and do. But I mean, I just don't really see the names here that really scream like, "Hey, this offense is revamped." I just don't see much here in terms of making this this offense any better.
We already got our haters, folks. 8-4. Boomer Sooner, thank you guys for tuning in. I got 21 of you right now. Just want to say shout out to you guys for tuning in. 1982 Boomer Sooner, like he knows his roster here. We just got to kind of see, like I said, like this isn't me picking on Oklahoma. It's just offensively, they don't feel like an elite football team at all. And it's all contingent, in my opinion, on Mateer. It's all contingent on him. I haven't seen anything that says that these guys are going to be super explosive. It says that they're going to go through next year, and it's just I feel like it's a setback for Oklahoma. For the record, before the Sooners fans start getting all crispy with me, I want them to win Red River every year, and I have a good friend who's a Texas fan, but I want Oklahoma to win Red River because I'll give shout out to Oklahoma. There's a deep football tradition there. Adrian Peterson, Brian Bosworth, Barry Switzer. I have a deep respect for the colors that you guys wear, but I just feel offensively this year, this team's going to need some drastic improvement to be a playoff team. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and KDM, I mean, you say he throws down the field well. I mean, don't look at his highlights. I mean, he was all over the place. I mean, he reminded me of Will Levis. If you remember Will Levis from 2024 when he got starts, literally every single week he was out there trying to throw something backwards behind his body to try, like just crazy stuff. John Mateer definitely did that. And,
last year with Mateer and Santiga. I mean, that's correct, but we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. I just have to see more to consider them a playoff team. That's all I'm saying. Like, this isn't beat up Sooners. I'm not. There's other certain teams I like to beat up. I can't beat up on them. They went into Tuscaloosa and won last year.
Yeah,
the revenge in the playoff. We're up 17-0. They make plays, but I just don't feel it's elite, and I just got to see it. I'm a firm believer in seeing it. And what do you say here? Made some really good throws before his hand.
So did Will Levis. I mean, Will Levis makes some really good throws. So does Zach Wilson and J.J. McCarthy. He has throws where I'm like, okay. I mean, he wasn't a Heisman level. He wasn't a Heisman level guy for no reason last year. I mean, the hand injury happened, but I mean, I don't care if your hand's messed up or not. It's the decisions that you make. And just because his hand was messed up doesn't mean he can throw cross body into double coverage for a pick. That doesn't excuse that. You know what I mean? And he did that a lot last year. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. I hope he improves. I hope he understands that there's a pocket and he doesn't have to run out of the pocket every play. I watched a lot of John Mateer last year, and I did not have him graded well.
Let's go over the schedule.
Based on the film. But let's go ahead and look at the schedule. UTEP, I think, is a pretty easy opener for them. UTEP was horrible. They're going to probably continue to be pretty bad. Michigan, I think they have the Michigan game as well, even though it's in Ann Arbor. I mean, I think that they can come out 3-0 and then unfortunately have to go into Georgia, who I like better offensively and defensively. So I think Georgia ends up giving them their first loss. I think they'll end up going 3-2 in the first 5.
So let's stop for a second because you want to talk about the Michigan game, right? So last year it was utterly gratifying to see Oklahoma beat Michigan. with their famous alumnus, Sharon Moore, who I'm sure Oklahoma fans are disowning, as they should, for some of the wild stuff he's done. But I'm not going to say that game's a gimme. I'm, you know how I feel about Michigan football. It's just slow. It's different. They're on their third coach in 4 years now. And there's still a lot of stains on that program. I don't know that we're going to see what Whittingham does there. I mean, they brought in, an experienced coach. They got a lot of resources in Michigan. I think that might be one of the better games of that week.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Oklahoma can go in there and step on him, just because I want to see what Michigan does with Bryce Underwood, how they're going to develop him. He's in his second year. He's the number one recruit in the class 2 years ago. And, Oklahoma's got to do it on the road. I think that'll kind of be I think that game will be kind of your signal of how the season is going to play out. If Mateer goes on the road, plays great in front of 100,000 people in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I think John Mateer can absolutely start to get himself qualified for another Heisman run, because they were considering it at him. And that would be a game to give plenty of confidence to the voters, the fans, national TV, non-conference, big opponent, like I said, on the road. That's not an easy place to win football games. I think it's really good on Oklahoma, Michigan for scheduling this Oklahoma home series. And like you said, they go into Georgia and then they get the bye week. So I think that they could start off 3-1. I think that if they play well at Michigan, I don't see the letdown against New Mexico, and I can't see them absolutely going to Athens and giving Kirby fits. If they go to Michigan and win, it's the same kind of environment in Athens, Georgia. It's not this holy place that can't be beat anymore. I mean, Ty Simpson rolled into Tuscaloosa, or rolled into Athens last year and beat them. Alabama, the world doesn't like to give Alabama credit for that win for some reason. It's their only loss at home since the first Trump term. So, like I said, I have to just see more of it. And I think the Michigan game would be a great stepping stone.
Yeah, I see 7 wins, 8 wins here. I mean, the back end of the schedule is tough. I mean, I don't want to say, look, I'm a Mississippi State fan, so I can't just be giving wins to Mississippi State ever. But Mississippi State at home is no slouch. I mean, they were a terrible defense last year. We'll see if they improve. They are bringing in some, good recruits. We'll see. But, I mean, you have South Carolina. They're a great defense. Ole Miss is a great defense. Texas is a great defense. Missouri is a great defense. I mean, there's just a big back half of this schedule. The last 6 games are just really rough. Plus, you have to play Texas and Georgia and Michigan. I think this is a 7-8 win football team. And I hate to say it, but, shout out.
Boomer.
That's going to be
Boomer.
That's going to be
He's
sick.
Going to go to Michigan. Boomer, would you please subscribe to my YouTube channel? I'm trying to grow. I've been stuck at 300 subs forever. I'm not like Bobby, who's got hundreds of millions, but that's good that you go to college football games. I've only been to one Alabama game my whole life because I live out west. But what did he say here? Be ready to be surprised. Same stuff said last year. Went 10-2 with just the defense. Look, it's not so much that there's a whole thing like I just want to see more from Mateer. I think that's fair. I'm being very fair when it comes to Oklahoma. I don't feel that there's super elite playmakers offensively, especially in the backfield. But defensively, they're going to create plays. Look, they can create turnovers. They can make critical stops. They can have short fields. All that stuff will help the offense and make it better. I think the Sooners I don't think they're a playoff team this year. It's not, hey, it's just how I feel.
I just want to check something super, super quickly.
The Mississippi State game scares me. Kentucky home, Mississippi State road, South Carolina home. Look, it's the SEC, man. It's the wild, best conference in football. The only conference that matters is the Southeastern Conference. And the best sport in the world, folks, it's right here. It's college football. I know we talk NFL on this channel. We'll be doing our NFL preview, our NFL week-to-week stuff with our dynasty and our picks and our sports betting picks, but college football is supreme. The SEC is the cream of the crop. Big Ten, get out of here. Hot garbage.
Hey, shout out. I wanted to see what our picks were last year. And you had them going 9-3 last year.
I was close.
So pretty good. I mean, that we identified it. It's just I'll go ahead and talk about him real quick as well. But I mean, their schedule last year was so much easier than it is this year. I mean, you had Kent State, Temple, Illinois, and Auburn in the four. That was 4 of your first 5 games. I mean, your next 5, you play Georgia, Michigan, and Texas in your first 5 games. It's going to be rough. I don't remember exactly who you said you were. I think you gave them Alabama, Ole Miss, and maybe LSU.
Possibly.
I think that was the 3. But we'll go ahead and talk about Aya Satinga. Please, Boomer, if I'm saying that wrong, please let me know. But I don't care what his name is. He was a stud last year. This offense was not great, but this kid still went out there, almost had 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, 14.4 yards per reception. He's their not only is he a great open field elite speed yak guy, he's going to be their top returning receiver as well. And you can play him in the return game, and he's got proven SEC production. He's a slot based wide receiver. And I love those profiles, especially for fantasy. He's going to be their wide receiver 1. I think he's got a clear chance to eclipse 1,000 receiving yards since I'm not super big on any of the guys they got in. I think he's a day 2 pick. I want to go ahead and just show you a little bit of what he can do. I mean, he's really solid. And you're going to see throw downfield, field stretcher, way to hang on to the ball in traffic. Hey, first down, baby. Right. And then you got him out in the flat, and I mean, he's just a nightmare to tackle. I mean, just a nightmare to tackle. He will destroy your ankles. I forget. I think this is Ole Miss. I don't know exactly who this
South
is.
Carolina.
Oh, that's South Carolina. Great defense, and then you just see him stop, go. I mean, just really good yak ability here, and hard to bring down. Pretty physical as well. I saw a little bit more. I should have put more highlights in there of him because he can go up and get the ball as well. Yeah. Punt returner.
Elite punt
that's
returner.
Another way. And that's why he can be a day 2 pick for me, because he's going to be a special teams guy as well as a slot-based receiver as well. Just a really good football player. I don't know if you guys remember Matthew Golden out of Texas a couple years or last year, first round pick. I mean, he was smaller, just like Satinga is, but he would high point and go up and get the ball. I mean, this guy does it the same way. Pretty solid hands, can go up and grab it, makes contested grabs. I mean, he's got it all. So I'm really excited to see what he does this year, because if so, he can be in the day 2 draft capital conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah, great player. Like I said, I just want to see more. Consistent. I'd love to see for Oklahoma fans. I like to see Mateer play the whole season for them. That's pretty funny. This comment right here. Jackson Arnold was and still is trash. My friend, I can appreciate some good old-fashioned hate when a player stinks and then he leaves your program. So shout out to that.
Hey, look.
Hate.
Jackson Arnold, horrible. Goes to Auburn, horrible. But, I mean, his first week versus UNLV, at UNLV, I mean, he played really good football. So I'm curious. He's not going to be an NFL guy. I mean, he's just not. He cannot play on time. He has to run all over the place. He takes way too many sacks. So I don't want to talk about Jackson Arnold right now. I won't ever stop talking. He frustrates me. But we'll go ahead and go into the next team.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Before we go into you can go to the next slide, but before we go, we got 2 more teams we're going to preview. We're going to preview Texas and Texas A&M. I want to thank our viewers that are tuned in right now. Remember that this channel, we talk college football, we talk NFL, we talk fantasy, we talk dynasty, and we talk sports betting. And I do free picks all the time for the college season and for the NFL season. I've already given you guys my NFL ad. Please just take a quick look here at my college football sports betting preview. Yep. We have got 25 viewers, and I do, like I said, free picks all the time. I had a really lousy first weekend for week 0, but that's full transparency. And luckily, I gave away all the elite edge picks in week 0, and thank God I did because I wouldn't want anybody to pay for that and have to suffer the losses like I did, down 6 units. But we always rebound strong. I'm also in an NFL tournament on X. If you follow the data man, I am one of the top 25 sports bettors on that site on X. I do have a positive winning record all time. Very calculated, very thorough with my picks. I love this sport. I love to pick the sport. I've been sports betting since 1990. I'm an old man. But let's talk about the Texas Longhorns, folks. It's everybody's favorite team. It's
Yeah.
everybody just loves Texas. They're the media darlings. They've got somebody named Manning. They've got a coach who hasn't done anything except reach for that. He's got that pre. He hasn't broken through and grabbed it like Kirby has, and he hasn't broke through like Dabo has. It's just Sark's just so close. He's so close. Boomer, we have to talk Texas, folks. I had to talk Auburn last week. We're going to talk Texas. I'm sorry, but that's just
Yeah.
going to be how it is. This is a preview show, and we will have our qualms about Texas. Actually, Boomer, if you go to my YouTube page last season, a specific person named me. What did I say, Bobby? Tell the man what I famously and correctly said about Texas last year.
That they wouldn't be in the SEC championship game.
And
That they would lose Red River.
no, that they would not be a playoff team.
Oh,
They
yeah,
were
that's right.
picked to win the championship last year. Our pick is Georgia and Texas. Georgia and Texas is all I heard last year. It's all I'm hearing again this year. Now, last year there was a lot of validity to my point with all those players going pro. They lost nearly everybody on offense.
Yeah.
The quarterback didn't have enough experience. And last year, Texas played some sluggish football. They just couldn't blow anybody out. They just looked like they were struggling all year. But the Sooners or Texas this year, they're a favorite to win the SEC. They're a favorite to make a run and win the national championship. They've got talent all over the place. Arch Manning did finish the season last year very well.
Yes, he did.
He's got experience in the system now. This is his 3rd year there. 2 years starting after backing up Quinn Ewers his first year. His first full season is under the belt. That's what you want in college football, especially at that position. You want to have all kinds of experience. They did get some great transfer player. Cam Coleman's a 5-star from Auburn who got smart and said, I'm leaving this dump to go to substantial upgrade. But Cam Coleman did fumble away the Iron Bowl, so he's got to carry that with him. And they've got Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers, who was supposed to transfer to Alabama, backed out and went to Texas. So Texas does have some elite playmakers at their skill positions. And defensively, they got Colin Simmons out there. But they've got some transition going on defensively on the side of the football. And I think that's kind of what keeps some games closer than it needs to be, has been kind of their lackadaisical defense.
Yeah.
Schedule for Texas this year is really rugged. I think this is 9 wins is the floor, possibly 11. I would say 10 wins. I think this is a playoff team. I'm sorry, Sooner fans. Feels like they're going to take a step up after struggling last year. Don't lose to Florida with a coach on the hot seat. I said it before the Florida game. I said it in our preview last year that they weren't going to make the playoffs. This year, I am going to call for them to make the playoffs despite their schedule.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a college team and you've got experience in a system. Wasn't massive turnover. They lost some players to go pro. Let's take a look at what you got going on the graphic here, Bobby.
Yeah, they went 10-3, 6-2 last year. They won the Citrus Bowl against Michigan, and they were kind of a sluggish offense in terms of getting yards. They were decent at scoring, 41st in the nation, 70th in total offense. So it was like kind of mid there, but scoring defense wise, 28th in the nation. 20 points per game allowed. That's really solid. And then 40th in terms of total defense. So they just weren't dominant anywhere, but their defense was decent. Their offense was okay, in terms of the SEC, right? So we'll go ahead and kind of take a look at what Texas did, right? So, they run an inside zone scheme because, they like the outside spread offense where They can have the box. This is versus Ohio State week 1. This was kind of the marquee matchup of week 1, right? And you see the spread concept, then you see Arch Manning just kind of trying to take the gimmies. Ohio State's a really good offense. They kind of hit you with the underneaths, hit you with the inside zones. Then they're going to hit you deep. And Arch Manning, he wasn't good at throwing those deep shots, but later on, November, December comes along, he was a much better quarterback, and I think it's
Yes,
because of the starts underneath his belt. But you talked about Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman, I'm not going to spoil who I picked, but I like Cam Coleman a lot coming out of
he's
Auburn.
good.
We'll see how good he develops in this Texas offense.
Yeah,
They kind of spread the ball around a little bit, so we'll see. Raleek Brown from Arizona State, he was pretty solid last year. You got to watch him live. Hollywood Smothers out of NC State we get to see who ends up being that RB1. Is Smothers just going to be a rotational guy? We'll see. Then you got the Michigan State Michael Masunas for the tight end 1 job possibly. Then you have
Texas cleaned house.
Hmm?
Texas cleaned house in the transfer portal. Two of
Yes.
those guys, Hollywood Smothers was going to go to Alabama. He was going to go. So losing him was really a thorn in our side. And then Cam Coleman's an in-state kid. For him to not choose Alabama and choose a Texas, I mean, sometimes the money's just so deep. Let's just call it what it is. And they've got like all the great facilities in there. But to Sark's credit, they absolutely got a haul in the transfer portal. You got like
Yes, they
two
did.
of the best players that were available. So they're just going to have some kind of elite football there for sure.
Yeah.
I hate to be a Sooner fan, but you're just going to have to deal with it this year.
Yeah, and Arch Manning, like I said, I mean, he had 3,100 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 10 rushing scores, I think like 6 interceptions. So although he started the year off really rough, the first 3 or 4 games, well, the second game he went kind of crazy, but he had an up and down early part of the season, then went really good in terms of the last part of the season. Ryan Wingo is still going to return 834 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's a great number 2, I think. Then you got Emmett Mosley who came in 408 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's returning. Then you got Wisner, he left. Parker Livingstone, he transfers to Oklahoma, like we just said. Jack Indries, he's going to the NFL draft, so he went away. And then they had the crazy 5-star that's just been hurt all the time. I forget his name. Was a like elite prospect that went to Texas and just could never stay healthy. I forget his name, but anyways, I mean, I love this offensive core, and we'll go ahead and get into the schedule here. I mean, we'll see how good the offense does. I think Arch Manning's going to come in, pick up right where he left off, and I think this is the top 20 offense in the nation right now in terms of total yards. But the schedule, I mean, you kind of look at it. First half of the season, you got Texas State and UTSA, Florida at home. Ohio State still on the schedule. That's rough. I mean, you could see 3 potential losses in the first 6 weeks, but I think they get all of them.
Oh, man.
Well,
Listen to
Tennessee isn't an easy game. Ohio State's not an easy game. Oklahoma's not really an easy game, but I do think that they start the year off 7-0.
So the Ohio State game, Arch Manning versus Julian Sayin. This is a potential Heisman Final Four candidacy game here. Last year, they both played in Columbus. Neither one of them had the experience. Both of those players have experience in their systems. Both of them have championship aspirations. Both of them are going to be Heisman candidates. I think Julian Sayin is the better quarterback of the two. It's going to be absolutely cannot miss football on September the 12th when Ohio State plays Texas, a premier matchup. I mean, this absolute game last year came down to the wire. Last year was a defensive struggle for both teams. This time I expect Julian Sayin and Arch Manning to put on a clinic. Get your dynasty stuff ready. Pay attention to all the players in that game. That's going to be an elite, fun football matchup. Whether you're a fan of the teams or you hate the teams or hate watch like I do or whatever the hell it is, sometimes you just got to appreciate great college football, and that game might have some Heisman implications for sure. So
Yeah.
good on them for scheduling each other like a Big Ten and SEC powerhouse, but because the SEC's gone to 9 conference games, we're going to see less and less of those and more
Yeah.
conference games.
Yeah, I mean, I can see easily 10 wins here. I don't know who they drop it to. Uh, maybe LSU if they really are like what they say they are. We'll see. But I can see 10 wins. I agree with you here. But let's go ahead and get into the spotlight player. I believe in this kid. I really do. I thought
Is he
last
the
year
future for the Cleveland Browns, the Miami Dolphins? Before you get into everything
he's a
about Arch,
first round pick for sure.
first round pick for sure. Just what do you forecast it? Just put on your little Nostradamus here and your crystal ball. Well, this is a leather, and tell me, what team do you think takes Arch Manning in 2027? Bobby, you are live. Tell the people, who's Arch Manning going to go to?
Arch
Tell the
Manning
folks.
he's a New York Jet, unfortunately. I mean, the New
So
York Jets stink, and they're going to continue to stink. Now they have a lot of first round draft capital, so we'll see. But
another Manning in New York.
yeah, I think Arch Manning is going to the New York Jets. I think the Dolphins are going to be a 6-win football team. I think the Browns have enough going on offensively and defensively to where they can win 6 or 7 games. The Jets have nothing. I mean, they don't have anything. They have Brees Hall, and that's it.
Garrett
I
Wilson.
mean, so I believe in Arch Manning this year. You see the 3,100 passing yards, 26 passing touchdowns, 400 rushing yards. That's with sack deductions as well, 10 rushing touchdowns. Look, he doesn't have that many starts under his belt. I didn't buy into the hype last year, but I was like, this is the spotlight player. This is the guy that's going to be drafted the highest. He would have to be abysmal to not be a first round pick. He is going to come out here, even if he plays just like he did last year, he's still a first round pick because of his last name, because of his pedigree, because of the things that he can do. I mean, you look at the film, I'll go ahead and show it in a minute. You look at the film, he is an NFL quarterback. You know, he's their second year starting quarterback. He finished 2025 playing his best football towards the end of the year. Dual threat upside with elite surrounding talent now with Cam Coleman and Wingo. I mean, he's got a playoff caliber offense. He's a Heisman caliber ceiling, major fantasy upside in terms of the dual threat ability. Could be one of college football's biggest stars. And we'll go ahead and look at some of the film here because
Is your comp for Arch Manning Aaron Rodgers?
I don't have a player comp for him yet.
Okay.
I want to see him be a complete player. I want to see the complete version of Arch Manning, and that's going to come this year. If he can show me some things, I mean, I think he's more mobile than Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers was mobile in his day, but just nowadays, these athletes are just a little bit crazier at the quarterback position. Look at Taylon Green, right? I mean, ran a 4.340. We ain't never seen a quarterback do that. Seems like every year we've got a quarterback breaking the 40-yard dash record, right? Anthony Richardson, um, uh, Alabama, Jalen Milroe. Then you have Taylon Green. You know, it's just every year we've got somebody better and better athletes at the position. So you see him step up in the pocket, great kind of Tom Brady like pocket maneuvering, those violent, quick bursts. You see him just. I mean, that's what he brings to your offense. He's got that dual threat ability. Then you see him down the field, step out to the side, flick it. I mean, what a great throw there. Then you see him right here, step up in the pocket, throw deep downfield, great touch, on time. I mean, he's just got everything. He's got the arm talent. He's got the mechanics, obviously. He can throw over the middle of the field, which is a big thing for college football. You know, quarterbacks don't like throwing over the middle of the field that much. He absolutely can. He can throw on the boundary. He's got touch. He can make throws, any throw on the field. I just need to see him be a little bit more consistent. I think the Starks offensive game plan kind of holds him back a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more in terms of offensive play calls that match up to the NFL. But I think wherever he goes, he's good. He's going to have some tough troubles. I mean, Cam Ward was really talented. Look what he did. Fernando Mendoza was really talented. I think he's going to struggle with the Raiders. So Arch Manning's going to go to a bad NFL team, and he's going to have to overcome it, and I think he can.
That'll be interesting to see. I mean, he just showed the highlights. We've seen what he's got. There's no excuse. He's got to get it done. There's a lot of pressure on Sark. I think the Texas fans might riot if Arch Manning cannot get the job done. They're going to go after Sark. I think they're going to have enough of it if he doesn't make a run. They've got to stop getting bounced. I mean, he's gotten to the semifinals twice, has not made that championship game. Kalen DeBoer beat Texas with an inferior Washington squad, even though there were 2 first-round players on that team. Washington still wasn't as stacked as Texas was. Had no excuse for just giving up that many points in that semifinal game. But yeah, we'll see how it's going for Texas. I mean, I think it's a good season. I think it's a playoff season. Arch Manning's going to get in. If they're a bubble team, they're going to put this team in based on name, value, and recognition alone. Schedule's very tough, so they're going to have plenty of grace. They'll be in before like a Notre Dame per se.
I hope so. Notre Dame needs to get in a conference. Shout out. Anyways, we'll get into our last team, Texas A&M Aggies.
It's the yell squad. We yell at midnight. We wear overalls and we do these things. But they get 100,000 at Kyle Field every weekend to their credit. But holy crap, get rid of the cheerleading squad, the spirit squad. Get rid of whatever that is. Whatever y'all are doing down there in College Station, you need to stop doing it. You need to stop it. That's not a good tradition. Nobody watches. Going to the stadium at midnight is really weird. Don't be doing all that stuff. You're only supposed to go to midnight basketball, right? And last year, you guys were kind of exposed in the Miami game. I know there's a lot of hype for Texas A&M this year. I don't see it. Elko's a great coach, though. But let's be real. Last year, they did the whole – this is like the Chicago Bears of last year. They should have lost the South Carolina game at home, had some bounces go that way. I got to see it again before I take the elixir. Defensively, they were a great football team. But, we're going to have to see, is Marcel Reed going to be that dude? Big year for him. They've got some good players. They did get Isaiah Horton from Alabama transferred there. Mario Craver. They got Terry Bussey. They've got Reuben Owens II. They got KJ Edwards. The defensive front was a problem for them last year, but they got better players up front. But we're going to kind of see how this team does on the road. I think the road schedule here is brutal for the Aggies.
Yes.
I don't think they're a playoff team this year. I think this is one of the biggest overhyped teams. This is a regression team if I've ever seen one, even with a good coach. I think they overachieved last year, and they're going to underachieve this year.
Well, and with Texas A&M, even if they do get in the playoffs, they're just going to turn into like UTSA, all of it, like out of nowhere. That's just what they do. They can't finish. They just can't finish. Once they get into big games, I mean, they did win, at Notre Dame, LSU, and Missouri last year, but like they just can't get out of their own way. Once they're, they got some steam, they got to lose it. They have to immediately, like, we have to lose. We're hyped. People are talking about national championship. We got to lose now. And they just can't avoid it. They've done it for years and years now, but they went 11-2, 7-1 in the SEC. And then the first round of playoffs, they play Miami again, and they basically get torched. Not torched, but like they put up 3 points. 3 points. Now, Mike Elko, like you said, great coach. Offensively and defensively, this team was pretty stout. 19th in terms of scoring offense, 23rd in terms of total offense. Great stuff there. 36th scoring defense, 18th in total defense. I mean, they're a top 20 unit on both of these. It's just really good in terms of all around, just good football play. But once they get some pressure and like some expectations about them, they just cannot get out of their own way. But we'll kind of look at Marcel Reed a little bit here. The inside zone, play action, and then, oh man, I love this play. Shout out Notre Dame. This is what happens when you play actual, SEC schools. And not,
Well, remember, they beat Arkansas last year. That was their big SEC win.
Oh, yeah. Southampton High School, you got to play every week.
Arkansas.
Yeah, hey, that's great play right there. Good old South Haven High School, week 1, Notre Dame. Look, they have a lot of good additions, especially on the O-line. You've got, Wilkin Formby from Alabama starting offensive tackle, Tyree Adams.
Good riddance. I'm going to say that in the microphone. He was a liability on Alabama's offensive line last year. He went in there, and then Michael Carroll took his spot. He was not great on the front. He will not be missed in Tuscaloosa. Believe me. Believe me, there are players that transfer out. You're like, adios, and he's one of them. So
Yeah.
he's a starter, but he's not like that. Ain't no game changer. I promise you.
And then you see Isaiah Horton, who's just this big kind of possession X wide receiver. They needed that. They're going to need that type of role coming in. But Marcel Reed's coming back. I mean, he had a decent, 25 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 6 touchdowns on the ground, almost 500 rushing yards. I mean, he had some games where he looked good, and then he had some games where he's like, And then Mario Craver, almost 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's coming back. Reuben Owens. They lose Casey Concepcion, who's a first-round draft pick to the Browns. He's a big loss for them because he was making plays all over the place last year for them.
That's
Le'Veon Moss, who was supposed to be a second, third-round pick, but he just got hurt and just ended up falling down draft boards. He ended up not even being drafted, and I don't even think he's not on a team right now. And then Chase Bissonis, he also went to the NFL draft. So they're trying to rebuild this offensive line. You see that they've brought in a bunch of people to try and help with that. I don't know. I kind of agree with you. I don't believe in Reed.
Hold on. I got to say this about NC State. Casey Concepcion transfers out of NC State. Hollywood Smothers transfers out of NC State. Noah Rogers transfers out of NC State. There's something going on in North Carolina. The Wolfpack is just recruiting these elite players, and they can't keep them.
Because they're NC State.
But there's got to be like, it's crazy to have those kind of players leave your program. I mean, it just has to be the money in Texas because it's just, good God almighty. Those are great players. Hollywood Smothers is going to be a great player, for Texas. Concepcion was a great player for A&M. Both of those guys were NC State alumnus. They transferred out of there. Noah Rogers, great player for NC State. He's at Alabama now. So it's just, man, they got to figure it out in that state because North Carolina is not elite in football, and it's just them and UNC. So the Wolfpack has got to get going. And they looked like garbage on Saturday. They looked really bad.
Shout out the win over TCU, though. Huh?
No, they beat Virginia.
No, North Carolina.
No, I was talking about NC State. NC State, they looked bad against Virginia, but I'm going to say this. I know we're about to go over the schedule here, but Virginia played in the ACC championship last year. Virginia has that Indiana type of team this year with all that experienced offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled on the Cavaliers. The Who's just absolutely went out there and shoved the Wolfpack down the field all game long. Watch for Virginia to be a sleeper to play in the ACC championship against the Canes, not Duke. And Virginia should have won that game last year and were potentially a playoff team if they would have won that game. But Duke pulled the miracle of the century and won that game in overtime and those kicks, and it just went crazy. Football's a unique game. It's all situational stuff. But you want to talk about the schedule? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Missouri State, Arizona State. Arizona State, unfortunately, I think they saw their run, over the past 2 years. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're going to keep being able to be this type of ranked contender. I don't think they have a number next to their name at any point this year. I think Texas A&M is going to bully them. I think they start out. I'm going to say they start out 4-0.
So Lane Kiffin will already have his hair on fire if he loses to Ole Miss and then loses to A&M the next week.
Yeah.
Somebody said an 8-4 LSU season. This guy right here says Coach Kiffin and the Tigers, and they got Coach O back there. I'll tell you what, and he's out there recruiting for the team to fire him. God, they're just going to be back. They're just going to win the whole damn thing. Go Tigers. I'm telling you right now, it ain't going to happen. But
I think they lose 4 or 5 games here. Texas A&M. I think they lose to Oklahoma. I think they lose to Texas. I think they lose to Bama. And then give me any number of Tennessee, LSU, Missouri.
I think they one of those games. 8 to 9 wins in them still, but if they lost 5 games, they might riot down there at College Station.
Yeah. It's just they can't get out of their own way, and I don't believe in Reed.
Yeah, it just, you got to see more. Like you said, like they should have lost that game to Carolina last year. They got absolutely manhandled defensively in first round of the playoff game at home. Carson Beck goes down there, and they win 10-3 in front of 100,000 doing the Rebel yells. So, I mean, it could be a regression here. Scheduled isn't exactly in their favor. It just, if they go to LSU and win, though, that would be some funny stuff.
Yeah. Stuff. I mean, I don't know, man. Well, we already talked about LSU. We'll see. I mean, they have a lot of talent, but let's go ahead and get into the last little bit of this show. Thank you guys, everybody that's sticking around watching the show. We appreciate it a lot. But let's go ahead and talk about Mario Craver. 59 receptions, 17 yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. Also had almost 100 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. He's their top returning receiver, explosive playmaker with over 50 yards per catch, 207 yards versus Notre Dame last year. They had a pretty competent defense. I think he's the clear wide receiver 1. And since Casey Concepcion's gone, I think he's the clear wide receiver 1. I think he can eclipse 1,000 yards this year if Marcel Reed can be a little bit more competent. And, I mean, if he has a big junior season, let's say 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, I mean, this guy could be a second-round pick maybe. It just depends. Sure. I mean, he could be an early day 2 guy. And I kind of want to go ahead and show you a little bit of what he has. Please stop fronting on the Max. Hey, look, fair enough, man. I mean, you see him, Mario Craver here, great speed out of the backfield. I mean, able to just take little hitches, screens, take him to the house. See another thing with him, just fight through tackles, be able to catch over the middle of the field. He's not afraid of doing that. That's a thing that I love to see in receivers. And then deep down the field, look at him. Catch it over his body, tracks the ball beautifully. Great touchdown there. And then here he is versus Notre Dame. Here's one of his – just look at that. Boom.
That's all him.
That's all him. Look, he has to
him making that play on a bad throw. That's a bad throw, and made it happen. So shout out to Craver.
Now, the big play versus Notre Dame earlier that I showed, that guy running down the sideline, that's also Mario Craver. He had 207 yards against Notre Dame. Who, hey, shout out Mario Craver. He's not a high school opponent, so. But yeah, I think this guy could be
on the road in South Bend, against a team that whined about missing the playoff, but still went in there, handled business. The year before, Notre Dame went down to Texas A&M and beat them, so it was a revenge spot. So, it just Texas A&M they've got talent. They did okay in the portal. Losing Concepcion is going to hurt them more than they may think. I mean, Isaiah Horton, God bless him for his 3 touchdown performance against Auburn last year. But is he going to be enough to offset that? We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like they're like Missouri. Like, you just kind of want to see more. But there's more success last year, but they're not going to catch anybody by surprise like they may have last year.
Yeah.
I think they may have caught some people off guard. I don't think they're going to be underestimated. A lot of people that talk to me about Alabama say that Alabama's going to lose 4 games, and this is one of them. And I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about this A&M team. Mario Craver is definitely – nobody predicted the Aggies last year. One moment. Look, I loved the Aggies last year.
Nobody predicted the Aggies last year. No, he's right, and they did, and they have a good coach, and they got out of that Jimbo Fisher fiasco and made the right moves. Again, this is not a pick on team thing when it comes to selections and what we're talking about here. These are nuanced takes with reasonable aspirations, reasonable outcomes that may happen with a little bit of fun thrown in there. I don't have any ill will towards A&M. I just don't know if they're going to be able to repeat the performance that they did last year. So, and this is speculation just based on.
I'm just going to bring this over here real quick just to give you guys a little bit of.
This is last year.
This is last year. Look, the graphics have gotten a lot better, and I have facial hair now. But you said 10-2. Shout out! The college football is not my thing. I said they were going 7-4, but I did like them last year. I'm just a little bit, I don't know. But yeah, you're right
Valioso, do
about
me a
what.
favor, bud. Do me a favor. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, bro. I'm serious. No, please subscribe. I love
Absolutely.
when they're going to communicate and talk to me about their team, please, because we talk college football, we talk NFL, we talk all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to grow my channel. That's how you can help me grow. So shout out to
Yeah.
him, Texas A&M fans, stand by your team. Brother, I'm with you on that all the way. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I think that there might be some regression here next year. It's hard for any college football team, especially with the NIL and with all the transfer portal being as just absent as it is, and anybody can go anywhere at any time. Hell, you can go try out for the Pittsburgh Steelers and get cut and then make your way onto an SEC roster. So it's just absolutely pandemonium out there. It's really hard to gauge sustained
Absolutely.
unless you're Kirby Smart in Georgia and unless you're Sark, and somebody that's super elite at their position. Alabama's had some winning, but it's not been as dominant. I don't think you're going to see really a dominant force in college football sustain in the way it has with the money being spread out it is until there's some kind of congressional hearings and antitrust lawsuits and all this crap they got to figure out. It's the thing that's hurting the sport right now.
Especially with, SEC, like the teams are very competitive in the SEC, and every single Sunday you can see a Florida beat a Georgia or something like that. It's never out of the question. But real quick before, I wanted to shout this out one more time. If you guys want Dynasty football, my website just dropped this week. You can come check out my rankings. You can all of the latest updates. It's obviously not college football related, but you can check it all out if you want. It's live, bobbysbigboard.com. It's completely, and I say completely free. So,
Bobby, do you have the thumbnail for next week to show or for Wednesday?
I do, yeah.
So check this out, folks. Thank you for tuning in for our annual SEC preview. Last year we did the Big Ten. We're not doing Little League conferences anymore. We only do the SEC stuff because that's all that matters. I would personally like to do a Sun Belt one because I love Southern football. And thank you for subbing. Shout out to you, Balioso. I appreciate that. While you're pulling that graphic up, a little bit of fun stuff that's not related to any of this. I do play college football on the Xbox, and I decided to do a full rebuild with the South Alabama Jaguars. First season, only won 4 games. That was a ridiculously hard mode. Last year, I went 12-2, won the Sun Belt, won the Heisman, and won like a bunch of awards because my dude ran for like 1,900 yards or whatever. But I have it set on Heisman difficulty. So, and then I got offered some jobs. I got offered Wisconsin. I got offered Maryland. I got offered Purdue. Turned them all down because I'm only going to go where if Mama calls, and that's out to Alabama. It'd be the only way I'd leave the South Alabama rebuild. But tune in, folks. Tune in on Wednesday.
2 days.
Yep. Tune in 9:00 Eastern time. We're going to be talking about the fallout with Josh Jacobs. We're going to be talking about any other news that may happen in the next 48 hours to finalize rosters, some interesting cuts, some interesting waiver pickups, few last second trades. The backfield situation in Green Bay looks like it's going to be Marshawn Lloyd and Caleb Johnson for the potential short term until they go get Ahmad Hardy. I mean, I'd love to see it.
And I've already talked about a lot of the cuts and things like that. My website automatically updates every single day based on who made what. I make rankings changes every single day. And if you guys want to look at some gems or things like that, I have all of this stuff on my YouTube channel. You can check it out.
Absolutely. Bobby does absolutely amazing stuff. He does all the graphics, all of it. All of it. I mean, all of it. He's done stuff for my channel. My stuff's all sports betting. His stuff's all dynasty. And I do dynasty football as well. I've got an elite roster in one league. So if you do find fantasy football and you tune in on Wednesday before maybe some teams are having their drafts Labor Day weekend, you can maybe pick up some useful news and use that to win your leagues. We want you to win your leagues and be competitive and have fun. Sports is all about fun and competition. And like I said, this is the best sport out there is college football. It's the birthplace of college football. 160 years of the game. It's the greatest game that's ever been invented. We will see you in 48 hours, and we will have 2 special guests, the fantasy football strategist and one of my ops. I will make sure to do a Paul Wall style haircut or hat as Bobby had implicated. And we will see you guys then. Thank you so much for tuning in.